Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about the brand new big update that Overwatch is getting for November. These are a lot of hero balance changes, basically just nerfs to a bunch of the different heroes. So let's go ahead and first off go over when is this actually happening. So this post was posted on October 28th. However, in terms of like when it's actually coming out, the goal is to deploy this update on November 15th. So it's not going to be coming out for a while, but that's like their goal in terms of when it is coming out. Again, it could be, keep in mind, subject to change as maybe things do change. So starting right off, yeah, this was just posted over here. I'm just going to go ahead and go right into these new changes. So starting right off, what is actually getting nerfed over here? So starting right off with the DPS category, Sombra. So Sombra is getting a big nerf over here. So the hack ability lockout duration is being changed from 1.75 to 1.5 seconds. This is actually pretty big for certain matchups, like if you're fighting up against a Reaper or anything that has like an ability to like fade or get away or ignore some sort of like negative status effect, so to speak, like make can like, you know, ice block and then instantly just go back. So it's going to be a pretty big buff for any of the heroes that normally would be hacked and kind of locked out for an extended period of time. I know it's only 0.25, but sometimes that's the only thing that makes a difference, is just that duration. But on top of that, hacked enemies are no longer valid targets for hacking for the duration of the effect. So what this would mean, and I believe it's about 8 seconds in terms of like when you actually hack a target, they're locked out of using their abilities, but they're still considered hacked targets. When the target is marked as a hacked target, what that means is you're still going to be able to deal additional bonus damage to them, but that's actually getting nerfed as well. So the downside with this is basically you can't just keep on hacking the tanks over and over again, which is kind of an annoying thing that some Sombra players would do. Instead of just like focusing in on the backline, they would more so focus in on just going for like certain squishy targets again and again. So that's going to be a nerf for that. And then on top of that, the hack damage multiplier is getting a pretty big change over here. So that's 15% at damage reduction. And if you factor in headshots being like a 2x multiplier, this does add up quite fast. So on top of that, change with Sombra, there's actually a change with Genji, which I'm kind of sad about, as I got Genji gameplay here in the background. So starting right off, what are the changes with Genji? I'm not going to read the dev comments too much. I just want to go straight into like the changes here. So what are the changes with Genji? So Genji is actually getting a nerf here. So instead of having his MO be 30, it is now 24. So that's double extra right clicks that you will be losing out on. So I mean, that change, I think, I mean, it does hurt him at the end of the day. It's definitely a nerf. But the thing is the main change is the shuriken damage reduced from 29 to 27. Certain combos with extra characters doing maybe some sort of amount of damage, this will result you in not like just comboing a character and being able to do certain things with Genji that would normally give you an elimination. Because keep in mind, when you're getting that right click, like triple headshot, all of that damage gets reduced, not only by 3 because it's like times 3, if that makes any sense, because you're throwing 3 of them, but it's getting reduced by 2 from each one, so that'd be 6, and then if you count headshots, that's like a 12 damage reduction if we look at it that way. So there's a pretty big change to Genji. I think the biggest update for Genji going in from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2 is the fact that there's not as much CC in the game. You know, there's no McCree flashbang, there's not as much stuns, so he still can be used, but again, the changes over here are going to be overall just nerfs for Genji straight up. There's no change with that in terms of being a buff. So next up, let's talk about the tanks here, and we also got some support changes. So first off, Zarya is getting nerfed, and I think this is a really good thing. I'm sure some of you guys matched up against those Zaryas, it would say super high in terms of the energy, and it just felt like you really couldn't do too much. So that will be a nice change, especially when, like, let's say you happen to have like a Doomfist and there's a Zarya just rolling down your teammates and the Doomfist is off trying to build charge somewhere, right? So this is a nice change. The barrier duration is reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds, so that's overall a nerf. And then the barrier cooldown is increased from 10 to 11 seconds. Now, I'm pretty sure this is both of the Zarya bubbles, meaning that it overall is a 1 second nerf on each one, which would be overall 2 second nerf, if that makes any sense. So I think this would be a nice change. I still think she does an insane amount of damage even at 0 charge. Maybe they could have looked at tick rate, but at least in terms of my feedback, any small amount of nerf sometimes makes people less incentivized to even play a character after certain things get changed. So overall, good change, but I think that Zarya will still be pretty powerful. It's not going to make her be like completely useless. Next up though, D.Va. This is a change with another tank. So we have the fusion cannon spread increased from 3.5 to 3.75. What does that mean? It means that the spread on like the accuracy is going to be reduced. So basically, in theory, it's kind of like you're dealing less damage because it's not going to be as accurate, or you're just going to have to get closer to your targets. On top of that, there is a straight up damage nerf. The boosters, impact damage is reduced from 25 to 15, so 10 less damage when you're just charging into people. So that's another nerf with D.Va. I never really felt like if they had a D.Va, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so OP. D.Va is really strong. She's definitely a great character. But for me, I think that the change that I would like to see is mostly a buff to Doomfist, but there's no change to Doomfist. Now, going right into the supports over here, we have a change with Kiriko. So the Swift Step invulnerability duration is reduced from 0.4 to 0.25 seconds. So at the end of the day, is this going to be a big enough change to make people not play her? I would say no, not really. I think that Kiriko will still see some play. It's not like this, again, changes anything. I think the reason why people play her is basically for the ultimate. So, nonetheless, that is it for the update. And then they're also doing a change over on like Twitter. They're going to be doing some Q&A, I guess. But I'll let you guys know in the future, you know, what else changes with Overwatch. So if this is your first time here and you want to see more Overwatch content in the future in terms of patch notes and my thoughts on certain things, yeah, that's my thoughts. Overall, these are all great changes. But I think the last thing that I would like to see them adjust is maybe Sojourn. But anyways, hopefully that will be changed because in my tier list, and if you guys want to see my tier list, I'll link it down below. But I think that Sojourn probably needs a small little adjustment. I think Sojourn's right-click hitbox is just a little bit too generous. But that's my thoughts. You guys can let me know yours down below. Do you guys like this, or do you think it's a bad update for the game? But nonetheless, at least we're getting an update. I hope we get a new hero very, very soon. I think there's going to be a new tank coming out. But anyway, subscribe to the bell, and when the new tank and new updates come out, I'll give you guys the info on it. But take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace!